if the Nazis have a bomb.
7, 6, 5.
We have a complicated relationship with nuclear weapons. Our fear of it ebbs and flows, but the threat never goes away. In a way, definitely. In Tenet, I used this incredible moment of the Manhattan Project, this moment where the scientists realized that they couldn't eliminate the possibility that when they triggered the Trinity test, they would start a chain reaction that would destroy the world. So Oppenheimer's spirit sat over Tenet in a particular way, and Rob Pattinson, when we wrapped, he gave me as a wrap gift a book of speeches that Oppenheimer gave in the 1950s. And reading those speeches that are all about somebody of great intellect trying to come to terms with the consequences of what he's brought into the world definitely drew me even closer to something I'd been toying with and thinking about for many years. I think Oppenheimer's story is one of the most dramatic that I've ever encountered. But I think really the thing that made this a practical reality for now was reading Kai Bird and Martin Schoen's American Prometheus, which is a wonderfully researched book. It took 25 years to make.
You kind of scream with joy.
Yeah, you jump up and down, definitely.
And then you sprint to meet him, even if he's not ready for you.
Yeah.
You just run. I mean, I was so excited. I was so excited. And you feel kind of honored. I don't know, I was so thrilled when he called.
I would check in with him periodically over the years, like anything.
Anything?
Really would.
I'll do it cheap.
Yeah, do it cheap. I will say, yes, I am available.
I'm available.
Just putting this out there, I am available.
And then he was like, lose my number.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves.
There's nothing really more frightening than atomic power, atomic weapons, nuclear weapons as they developed. And so, however exciting and thrilling and positive and interesting his story is and the characters around him, and there are some really fun things, some really exciting things that go on, but underneath it, underlying it, there is this change that they're bringing to the world that's terrifying and has changed life on Earth forever, irrevocably. And so that haunts the film in a way. I found it striking when we first started showing the film to people that, you know, clearly that element sits heavy on the film.
Maybe also because of the political climate right now also?
Well, you can never know the world in which, you know, your film is going to be released into. When I took on this subject, I had a conversation with one of my teenage sons early on. I told him what I was working on. And he actually said to me, does anybody really worry about that anymore? You know, is that really a thing of concern to people? 2 years later, he's not asking that question. No one's asking that question, unfortunately, in the most awful way. Our justified concern about nuclear weapons has come back again. And we have a complicated relationship with nuclear weapons. Our fear of it ebbs and flows, but the threat never goes away. We just choose not to think about it sometimes. Once again, it's in the forefront of people's thinking.
I guess, but it didn't feel like a dictatorship or anything. No. I think he just wants everyone to be focused, and he's right. Because at the end of the day, when you've got people going off to their trailers and they're texting, and like, it's just different. It does slow things down. It does create more chaos.
Very fast.
He moves so
and it's
quick.
Like there's no time for I didn't have time to make a phone call. Like there was no, you know, I would call home at the beginning of my day,
and
you
then
know,
at the end of the day.
But true, like during the day, you were really going fast, and the production has a lot of momentum, and Chris drives really hard because you get so much more done when you use that approach. I think of Spielberg and Soderbergh as well, as, you know, people have said, oh, there are no chairs on Steven Soderbergh's set, and I go, I never thought of that. But that's true.
Yeah,
there are no chairs on Steven's sets.
There were other things you could perch on. It was fine.
Yeah, because
do you know what I found in this movie, which made me laugh, is that over the course of the film, as I get older and older, with more and more prosthetics, crew members started offering me an apple box. Like they were worried about me. And I was like, guys, I'm still the same age. Like I look awful, but I can stand, you know? It's so funny.
But it's a really fun way to work because everybody feels that momentum. And, you're tired at the end of the day, which you should be.
I mean, certainly there's a link in the narratives and in the way in which you use the color and the black and white to try and orient the story in the narrative. You know, Memento had a very complex chronology. We used color and black and white to try and sort of clue people into how that worked. In Oppenheimer, we have two very different ways of looking at his story. The color sequences are totally subjective. Everything is from his point of view, and that's the bulk of the film. But there are these black and white scenes, and I use the black and white to just shift the audience's feeling about the scenes. They're more objective. They're really from Robert Downey Jr.'s character's point of view. Louis Strauss is the character he plays. And so it's the contrast of these things throughout the film that gives you, I think, a more three-dimensional understanding of Oppenheimer's story. You have these events, and we did as we shot the Trinity test, because I didn't want to use CG, we were doing some very grand scale explosive events, and there's always tremendous tension. You know, you're out in the desert at night, these things need to be done safely and carefully, so there's a lot of procedure, there's a lot of safety protocols, as they had in the Trinity test. And so I think that put everybody in the right mindset, actually. It gave us some very trivial, very small taste of what it must have been like to be there on that night.
Yeah, I was telling him, like I said, you just have to memorize it for the, you know, for the 2 minutes that you do it, you know, and then and you'll forget it, you know, completely. And you don't have to know what it means. You just, as long as your technical advisor looks at it and goes, that looks like physics, then you're okay.
I can't wait to see it. I am delighted to see it, and I'll be going. Opening
It's a great
weekend.
weekend for moviegoers, right? You've got two great directors coming out with big, very different movies, and you know, I was first asked about this. Somebody said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, Ben and I, growing up, we went to 2 movies every weekend. Like, go see 2 movies."
He just showed me something. It just said AMC just announced like a huge number of tickets of people who are going for the double bill, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
We love it.
Good for our business.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Thank you.